Hi, good day. This is once again Teacher Rika, your math teacher. What we are going to discuss today is how to multiply a binomial by a trinomial. So all of the materials here are extracted from the LRMDS modules. Before we proceed with the lesson, you should have skills in addition, subtraction, multiplication of integers, as well as multiplication of monomials. Before we proceed with this lesson, you can check the other videos that I made about these lessons. So let's have a review first. How do we multiply y to the fourth and y cubed? So these are two monomials. So what we have to do is to expand them. Y to the fourth means there are 4 y's, and y cubed, it means there are 3 y's. And when we combine the two, let's count the number of y's. Can you count how many y's are there? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's equal to y to the 7th, which is the product of y to the fourth and y cubed. So what can you say about the exponent? We just simply add them. But you have to make sure that they are of the same variable. How about a to the 6th times a to the 5th? So just like in number 1, we simply add the exponents of the same variable. So that is a raised to 11. And 7n raised to 8 times negative 3n raised to 7. So if it involves numerical coefficients, multiply the numerical coefficients first, 7 and negative 3. And then add the exponents. So that will give us negative 21n raised to 15. So let's proceed. When we say binomial, it's a two-term polynomial. Examples are x minus 2 and 2a squared b cubed plus 13b to the fourth c. So the two terms here are the terms x minus x and negative 2, as well as 2a cubed, 2a squared b cubed, and 13b to the fourth c. So when we say polynomial, it's an expression that involves addition and subtraction of terms. So it's separated by plus and minus here. So that's an indication. Trinomial is a three-term polynomial. For example, the expression 2w to the fifth minus w to the fourth plus 9. So the three terms there are this 2w to the fifth, negative 4w to the fourth, and then 9. So how do we multiply a binomial and a trinomial using a single variable? So we have a plus 1, which is a binomial, and the trinomial a cubed minus 2a squared plus 5. How do we get the product? So what we have to do is to follow the rule. Multiply the first term in the binomial by the first term in the trinomial. So a times a cubed, that's in here. Multiply the first term in the binomial by the second term in the trinomial. So that's a times negative 2a squared. Multiply the first term in the binomial to the last term or the third term in the trinomial. So that 8 times 5. And then another one is multiply. Next is multiply the second term in the binomial to the first term in the trinomial. So that's 1 times a cubed. Plus the product of the second term in the binomial to the second term in the trinomial. So that's 1 times negative 2a squared here. And then lastly, the product of the second term in the binomial and the third term in the trinomial, which is 1 times 5. So we separate them by plus. Okay, so let's transfer it here and then simplify. So they are of the same variable. So we simply add the exponents. There's an invisible one there. Add the exponents of a, that's 1 plus 3. And then plus, multiply the numerical coefficients. There's 1 in here. Times negative 2 will give us negative 2. And then add the exponents of a in here, 1 plus 2. So here it is. And then a times 5 is 5a. 1 times a cubed is a cubed. Any expression multiplied by 1 is equal to the expression itself. Plus, that's 1 times negative 2 will give us negative 2 in here. Copy a squared. 1 times 5, that will give us 5. So let's simplify further. Add the exponents, that will give us 4. And then add the exponents, that will give us 3 in here. And then positive times a negative expression is equal to negative. That's why it's minus in here. Plus 5a plus a cubed minus 2a squared plus 5. So in here, that's plus or positive times negative is equal to a negative expression. Now let's combine similar terms. What terms are similar? Negative 2a cubed and a cubed. Why do we say that they are similar? Because they have the same literal coefficients, same variable, and same exponents. So let's put them side by side so that we can combine them. Now by applying subtraction of integers, negative 2, or addition of integers, negative 2 plus 1 in here will give us negative 1. And since there's a coefficient of a cube, you simply write negative a cube in here. So there are no more terms that can be combined. So that's the final answer. How about the binomial y minus 2 and the trinomial y squared plus 6y minus 7? So what we have to do is to multiply the first term of the binomial to the first term of the trinomial, y times y squared. And then multiply the first term of the binomial to the second term of the trinomial, y times 6y in here. Multiply the first term of the binomial to the third term of the trinomial, y times negative 7 in here. And then multiply the second term of the binomial to the first term of the trinomial, negative 2 times y squared. Multiply the second term of the binomial to the second term of the trinomial, that's negative 2 times 6y. And then lastly, multiply the second term of the binomial to the third term of the trinomial. So that's negative 2 times negative 7. And then simplify. So add the exponents of y, 1 plus 2, and then add the exponents of y in here, that's 1. There's an invisible 1 as an exponent. 1 times 6 will give us 6. So this is negative 7y. And then this is negative 2y squared. Negative 2 times 6 will give us negative 12. Copy y as a coefficient. Negative 2 times negative 7 is 14. Then simplify further. That will give us y cubed. This will give us 6y squared. And then negative 7y. Negative 2y squared, negative 12y, and then 14. Combine similar terms. What terms can be combined? So we put them side by side. So these are the similar terms in here. Aside from that, we also have negative 7y and then negative 12y. We can combine them. So they are in here. And then simplify further, 6y squared minus 2y squared, so that's 6 minus 2, which will give us 4. And then negative 7 minus 12 will give us negative 19. Copy the coefficient y. So that's the final answer. Copy the other term. So let's have some practice. What's the product between 2w plus 3 and w squared plus 4w minus 1? So just like the rule that we had, so what we have to do is to multiply the first term here and the first term here. So 2w times w squared. The first term here and the second term in here. So that's 2w times 4w. And then the first term here to the third term in here, which is 2w times negative 1. The first term in here times the second term in here times the first term of the trinomial, 3 times w squared. The second term of the binomial to the second term of the trinomial, so that's 3 times 4w. The second term of the binomial to the third term of the trinomial, 3 times negative 1. Then simplify further. So add the exponents. There's an invisible 1 there. So that's 2 times 1 in here. So that will give us 2. 1 plus 2. And then 2 times 4, that will give us 8. So 1 plus 1. Okay, that's in there. 2 times negative 1 will give us negative 2. Copy w as a coefficient. 3 times w squared is 3w squared. 3 times 4, that's 12. To copy w, 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Simplify further. That will give us 2w cubed, 8w squared minus 2w plus 3w squared plus 12w minus 3. And then what terms can we combine? So we can combine 8w squared and 3w squared. And also negative 2w and 12w. Let's write them side by side. So 8 plus 3 will give us 11. Copy the literal coefficients, w squared. Negative 2 plus 12, that will give us 10. Copy the literal coefficients, w. And then copy the other that has no similar term. How about 5 plus b times 3 plus b plus 2b squared? So applying the same rule, multiply 5 and 3 first, that will give us 15. 5 and b, that will give us 5b. 5 times 2b squared, that's 10b squared. And then b times 3 will give us 3b. b times b, that will give us b squared. And then b times 2b squared is 2b cubed. And then combine combine terms that are similar in the expression. So we can combine 5b and 3b, that will give us 8b. And then 10b squared plus b squared, so there's an invisible 1 there. 10 plus 1 will give us 11. So this is the answer. So we have 15 in here, 5b plus 3b, that will give us 8b in there. 10b squared plus b squared is 11b squared, and then copy 2b cubed. We can also rearrange the terms with starting with the term with the highest exponent to the least. So we started with 3, 2, 1, and then the constant. So that's the final answer. So here's the activity. You can multiply the following by pausing the video if you're interested to answer them. So that ends our discussion about multiplication of a binomial by a trinomial. I hope you learned something today, and I also hope that you are following the other videos I made because they are interconnected. And don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified for the next videos. Thank you and see you for the next lesson.